Once you describe things in terms of science, you are already lost. Science is fabricated nonsense with half-truths to create the devil's society. Are we breeding in a way to create a bunch of Virgin Mary looking females, or a bunch of harlot whores? Well, one only needs to look at the quote-unquote upper class to know that we are breeding Satan's whores. An attractive, nice, car, nice clothes having slut is straight from hell. This is the world the devil would create. When you breed away from the Spirit and you make it so that the few righteous people who are left resent everyone else, absolutely they are the elect, and absolutely they are correct. So, what is the difference between the receiver and the deceiver? De-see, vi, deceive. Do, see, vi. Die, so, vi. Okay, there are many ways that this thing makes sense, certainly from a Christian perspective. The death of the worldly self. You die when you vie spiritually, when you sow in a way that breeds away from the Spirit. Okay, Satan is the god of this world. So being a sexy, slut-faced, rich whore is really what it really means to be a satanic whore. And to be a deceiver, a sexually immoral, rich deceiver who's very worldly, whether you're big, fat, and stupid, and rape celebrities and actresses, or whether you're a kind of little, plotting kind of troll. Absolutely. Or if you're some kind of, handsome, quote-unquote, handsome prince who's shallow and soulless, okay? These are like the three varieties of pure evil. Ham, Shem, and Japheth when their souls are gone, if you will. All right, so Ra, Si, Vi, okay, receiver. The receiver must receive on behalf of ancestors and mankind in a way that is similar to building the temple or pyramid. The completed work, the generational spirit, and the spirit of righteousness coming into rightful heir, haru, heir, for his and mankind's right gain. So this goes to the right person, his rightful place, the spirit of righteousness for the right gains, not ill-gotten gains. How can anyone, even for a moment, pretend that I'm wrong? It's a no-brainer. The deceiver finds that in order for him to deceive effectively, he must cheat the receiver out of his righteous, rightful, right place. The group or individual that replaces Pharaoh, Ra's receiver, has sown generations of deception one way or another. The replacers becomes the great deceivers one way or another. So the replacer or replacers become the great deceiver or deceivers. They become Satan on earth, the devil amongst us, if you will. Pharaoh must breed in the Spirit, sow from the tree of life, and reap from there. Reap backwards with the interchangeable vowels becomes pear. Okay? Any other bloodline is by default a tree of knowledge of good and evil at best if it does not submit to the divine order, mate, mayat, through the tree of life. Now when you look at this thing, he who seeks to breed in the Spirit the most, who rose up in the Spirit of God to push man in the right direction, right, is the one chosen by God. He perhaps did this before Neanderthals and humans, Homo sapiens and Denisovans mixed together. Perhaps not. But at some point, somebody figured it out. They stood up, okay, and they rose to the occasion, okay? These different kinds of human subspecies were meant to breed together. In fact, we see this to a certain extent in Europe. The Neanderthals bred, with the Homo sapiens or what have you. The Denisovans kind of went through Asia, I believe, all the way, they found their way to the Aborigines. So we see this happening naturally to a certain extent before the unnatural direction of humanity, which is a good clue as to this is how it's meant to be, okay? We see that I am the top martial artist, not someone's pure black, pure white, Asian, so on and so forth. We see that the mix is what allowed for this. And when we look at the Narmer palette and King Scorpion and King Scorpion 2, who are said to be followers of Set, in the most believable version, Set and men, right, chemistry and being a kind of bull, minotaur type. we see that they were defeated by Narmer in the natural spirit. And as time went on and technology was introduced, we see not only a kind of demographic shift racially, philosophically and so on, but we see that the followers of Set rise to power. So in an unnatural, satanic horror, trade route, gold digging culture, when people rise to power, it's safe to say they're scum. How could it be any other way? You rose to power, you're in power, and the culture still is about scum. You didn't correct the culture when you got there. You're scum, you all should step down. You're at high risk of burning in hell and being targeted by God and the angels first and foremost in the afterlife. What kind of a spiritual person would do this to their descendants and their family? No one would if they're spiritual. No one. Just people who have fallen into darkness, like the center of our galaxy, a dark, massive, ignorant pit of people who know not what they're doing because no light comes from there. It is not going in. It is not coming out. It's nothingness. Okay. Whether or not the physics are correct there, the idea is, and that is also part of my point. The sun is symbolic. Ra, the strength of Ra, it is not limited to the sun. It is symbolic of that. It marshals things together symbolically. The light, not the darkness. The darkness is the mystery of God and reserved for God alone at best, but most likely associated with evil. And some kind of pit to throw people in and to plant us in, and things that aren't marshaled by the sun in a way that keeps them from falling in the pit. Whether the physics are correct, the idea is correct. So don't come at me with the tree of knowledge of good and evil when I speak of the nature and the true spirit of life. It just makes you an educated fucking idiot at best. Or miseducated, okay, depending on how you would describe it. Okay. So, it is an E trying to use the tree of, to use knowledge and trade and their ill-gotten gains to snake the A. Okay, so Mayat means may A, or may I. We'll get to that in a second. We'll knock that one out. Okay, psychology is magic, the power of sexual suggestion. Okay, people throw you off all the time because there is some truth in psychology. Yes, if you use science, you can sabotage people. If you use pseudoscience with half-truths and you understand what are the truths and what are the lies, and you mislead people with the lies and the illusion, yes, you can throw people off. Absolutely. If you have a naked woman while somebody's trying to pray, yeah, they can throw them off. And yeah, they have to go the distance then to correct it. And distance, ironically, is part of the reason why I'm right about sparring and the speed of my strikes and so on. Going the distance. Okay. So whether it is the nature versus self-direction of humanity, rape, child abuse, or the deliberate shunning of righteous men, psychology plays a key role. The unholy power of suggestion has been used to bring down mankind for many years, tens of thousands of years, I'd imagine, but certainly scientifically and with a deliberate, organized effort for at least thousands of years. One must strike down the desire to be sexually immoral, like striking down the A, the bull, right? The bull, not the A is the hawk. Devil or devils, spirit or spirits. Demon, demean, and demeanor are connected. When one is thrown off, especially by psychologists or demons, if you will, they have trouble behaving, thinking, speaking, writing, and doing things that require the Holy Spirit. Unless they have transcended to a ridiculous degree, which none of us have, myself included. I'm not perfect. No one is good but God alone, and understanding this keeps us on the right path. Okay? One must consider ways to smite, crush, conquer, strike, disrespect, and even spit on Apep and his allies, even if it is just an idea to them. So you don't necessarily have to literally spit on them. Of course, they were spitting on Jesus, slapping him, right? It was symbolic of disrespecting the idea of the Christ and not just the person. They weren't just mad because he was making these claims, but the nature of the claims that he was making. They clashed with their kind of pagan culture. Okay. Psychology and Light Temple thought are different because of the martial arts spirit versus the kind of Luciferian energy. Psychology involves worldly conformity, denial of the divine, and as such always includes a degree of dark arts. So psychology overlaps with the yin-yang and the pure dark martial arts, quote unquote, if you will, because that's part of what they do. Demon, right? Demonstration. As you're demonstrating in a way that is designed to cheat people like me out of their rightful place, you're attempting to demean them, to take away from them, to mock them, to psychologically, mentally, spiritually, and at times physically abuse them. You know, one way or another, it becomes a form of physical abuse because it interferes with their ability to plant their seed. And of course, sowing seeds was what was also described by the archaeological evidence of Scorpion 1 and Scorpion 2, the sowing of the seed ritual, which is key to the kind of Mediterranean, Egyptian kind of farming, you know, inundation of the Nile, the flood in the Bible, and so on. PhD, doctorate, right? The sage that ate the solar boat and Ra's familiar spirits, helpers, right? You know, Jesus, right? Say sage. You know, what say you, right? Ra, may, a, see, or show. See and show. Haru, hero, you're a. Okay, so Ra, Mayat, Shu, Haru. The way to bring in Haru is that order. That is the order to bring in the next pharaoh. So everything is lined up correctly. You have Ra, Mayat. You have everyone's in the divine order, the Mayat. Ra, his strength is being directed into the people who are the last Harus, so to speak. Okay, so the Mayat is Haru is represented in the Mayat and the Shu in this explanation, right? Ra, Mayat, Shu, Haru. Okay, the last Haru, you know, the archetype of the pharaoh, the last pharaoh is there, and he's basically, whether he's saying anything or not, he's saying to the universe, he's saying to God, may I bring in the next pharaoh, okay? And these are the 4 points of the foundation of the pyramid. And of course, when you draw the kind of X and you get the point in the middle, it's where it's the exact perfect combination. Okay, found a ion, foundation, versus found a shun, you know, the unholy, the illusion. Capstone, right? This T is the plus, just like in foundation. Capstone, cup sewn. Okay, A. Ra, your A. May I see and show. Haru becomes your A. The H is the fence, right? Your, you are A. Ra, I am your A. May I see and show. This is how you convey the spirit energy into the masses, you know, to draw in the spirit of God and to convey it to the divine order, which is more of a pyramid structure than a circle. I'm sure you can figure out why that is on your own. So Ra, Haru, Mayat, and Shu. This is the order this is the divine order of these ideas. Okay, first Ra goes to Haru, then he sets the Mayat, and the following atmosphere has the Spirit of God in it. Shu is completed and filled, as opposed to being empty, which is what happens if you don't have Ra, Haru, and Mayat before him in that order. This is the foundation, the basic, the fundamental principles of good. Okay, I'm almost out of time, so let me, the sun reveals and sheds light. Okay, spirit, the competitor, especially the bull energy, you know, against the sun. The bull people are also part of the scorpion story. God's spirit coming into the harmony. Intel act, right? The act, or perhaps intellect, is exposed in sparring. Intellect is not used in a way that considers spiritual intelligence in our society. Sparring is the only true test of mind, body, soul, and spirit. Faith in the order without working inside of it in one's rightful place is empty. Faith without works is empty. You are better off killing your child in the Spirit of God than accepting a place that is not your rightful place in the divine order, whether it is too high or too low, okay? Because you're better off doing the work of God, even if it seems strange to you. The story of Isaac, you know, I think it was Abraham and Isaac, or Isaac and Jacob, or, you know. Anyway, after me there is no divine order, so my words are lost, and with God, even if they are heard or read. God comes into the harmony with God's speed or light, speed which is symbolized by light. The sun explains to us what we are meant to know if we search from inside the divine order. So don't forget that the knowledge is not important. Knowledge is my ability to reference a story, but to know the idea spiritually is what's important. You know, just like Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, whatever the story was. You know, do I need to know this biblical story to know the idea? No. Is the expert in the Bible the Pharaoh? No, the Pharaoh is the one that proves it by applying the Spirit, not by applying, you know, a kind of Western explanations through a kind of pagan Bible, by the bull versus by the hawk, by the Pharaoh. Well, I'm out of time.